I'd like to call the meeting of Sanborn Regional School District to order for September 4th, 2019. And we have got, come on down, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Come on up, Carrie. Carrie, come on up here. There's a microphone right here. Is it okay if she introduces some things first? Come on up here, Carrie. So I brought, this is Carrie Cavallero, a fourth grade student at Beakey School. And she's here tonight to help lead us in the pledge, but she actually has a wonderful idea. She presented it to me late last spring, but I said, let's revisit that this fall. And I think she wanted to say a little bit about that, if that's okay.
So we can do the pledge first?
You want to do the pledge first, and then you want to talk about your idea?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Ready?
do you want to come over here? Are you good?
I'm good.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I believe Carrie would like to tell you a little bit about her idea right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you good to go? Okay. Would you like me to talk? I should point out she's very brave to be here as a fourth grader all by herself. So we give her kudos for that.
And I'm really
And she's a little nervous, and that's okay.
because they just hard for me to do.
Okay, that's fine. So I might, help me if I'm gonna say it correctly. If I say something wrong, let me know, okay? So what her idea was last spring she had an idea to help families of refugees, refugee families that are coming into our state with just needed supplies, school supplies, things like that. So she wanted to organize some kind of drive or something like that at Beakey School that could benefit families that are in that position. So I thought that was pretty noble, and I thought that that was something that we should revisit again at the beginning of the year so we have time to kind of plan and execute that. So, is that right? Did I do a good job? All right. Is there anything you want to add?
I want to tell them about what I'm collecting.
Okay, why don't you tell them about that? Can you say, she wants to tell you what she's collecting.
Okay.
What is that? Okay, school supplies and canned foods specifically. All right.
Yeah, because the canned food because they need to eat, and the school supplies because so the kids can go to school and they have everything they need.
Yeah, maybe we could put it in the school bulletin on the superintendent, our website, the district website to publicize it. Can they bring things to the Beakey School during school hours? Is there a
Absolutely.
collection
Nice.
bin there?
You think we could do that? Okay, I think
Put
we
it
could
on
do that.
Facebook too.
That'd be great.
Nice.
Very good idea, young lady. Very good.
Thank you.
Very good idea.
Very thoughtful.
Thank you. Good job. All right. I think
Okay, so. Minutes.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Jim, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Scott, last week when we had him, I could see him on now he's on the little screen. Can we get him to the bigger one? Okay, no, that's fine. Jim, you're about 3 inches by 1.5 inches, so,
Cell phone size.
yeah, just kind of jump in when you want to say something. Last week I could see your hand when you raised it, but this week it's
Okay.
kind of tough.
Thanks.
Okay, now,
He needs to state
Okay,
where he
all
is
right.
and is anyone with him.
no, I just gotta make sure because we have to have roll call while he's here or away. So we've got a motion on the minutes, approved, yes, ma'am?
I have one amendment on the minutes.
Okay,
The EISA 4.2 item should read, Mrs. Mahoney reported that the Excellence in Student Achievement Committee. Thank you.
So now we need a motion on the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, manifest has gone out. Nominations, sir.
Let's have one nomination this evening for Kevin Walker for the position of physical education teacher.
I move we elect Mr. Walker.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye, Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
For the minutes too, it's a one-year position due to
Okay.
the reorganization.
Superintendent's report, sir.
I have a little bit longer one than usual. So I'm just gonna take a minute to fill you all in on some amazing events that have occurred this summer. We had a really fantastic summer at the district. During the week of July 1st, Sanborn hosted its first ever homegrown summer institute with trainers from Columbia University Teachers College. They were on site to provide training to our teachers on the writing workshop model. And although it was a holiday week, July 4th was on Thursday, the institute was attended by 38 teachers and all of our district's administrators. So I just want to, the professional developers were very, very impressed by our staff. We had a huge range of teachers, including a high school science teacher who wanted to learn about the model, and all the way to kindergarten. It was just incredible. Teachers came away from the week-long institute learned with many practical ideas on how to implement writing workshop and felt energized about the work. The complex ideas were made simple and the training was engaging and helpful. The teachers stated that the time spent with their colleagues learning about these instructional practice methods were, the teachers stated that the time spent with their colleagues learning about these instructional methods was worthwhile. Carrie Grella, the science teacher at the high school, said, "I'll be using a lot of these tools and tips in my science curriculum." Nancy Reagan, a third grade teacher, said, "The Institute was helpful to me as I start to build confidence in how to integrate it into my teaching." And Donna Belleville, a middle school teacher, said, "I learned so many strategies and techniques to use with all of my students." In conversations with the teachers, the administrators are hearing requests for more training in this model, going deeper for more information and application. As teachers share what they learned with colleagues who did not attend, others are interested in having a similar experience. We're looking ahead to next summer to provide another homegrown institute for our teachers. I just think it's important for everyone to note that getting them to come from Columbia University is a significant feat. They have thousands and thousands of schools that apply to have this training, and we were really grateful to receive it. At the leadership retreat, we did spend a couple of days as a leadership team talking about our goals and priorities for the year. We certainly kept in mind the board goals, but we also had some goals of our own as a team. So the first thing that we did was we talked about our primary goal. Number one was developing a portrait of a graduate. It'll be Sanborn's North Star, a collective vision that articulates our community's aspirations for all students. It's important to have a strong academic experience at the center, and the portrait will provide strategic direction for the redesign of the overall educational experience for students at Sanborn. We've sent out surveys for input on this portrait as we continue to refine it, and I did share those surveys on Facebook in hopes of soliciting more input. We are going to be working on the continued use and improvement of the workshop model. So we did have specific training this summer in the writing workshop, but we are planning to implement the workshop across K-12. So our goal at first is to build capacity, and then to build excitement, and then to share with each other to grow our teaching, because we all know that if the teaching is very, very strong, student achievement grows. So we will continue to implement the workshop instructional model across the district for all students in kindergarten through grade 12. The thing that we like about this model is that it supports deep learning and personalized education experiences for all students through the use of short lessons, independent work, and small group instruction and exploration. Our institute this summer provided a lot of support on that goal. We also spent a lot of time talking about the commitment and use of the professional learning community model. Sanborn's followed this model of professional learning communities for some years now, and this year we're purposefully recommitting to it because the model helps align our goals across the district. Following this model enables our teachers and staff to focus on the 4 critical questions of learning. Number 1, what do students know? What should students know and be able to do? Number 2, how will we know that they've learned the essential standards? And how will we respond when they do not learn? And how will we respond when students have already learned? So the goal is to not just address the students who are struggling, but also address the students that are excelling. We had some conversations about the reorganization. The team discussed the purpose and goals of the district focus groups, which I've written about a lot in my constant contacts. If you haven't read them, I hope you do. And if you're not receiving them, please email me. I'd be happy to sign you up. These advisory groups will meet throughout the year and provide input and ask essential questions for the administration to consider. Administrators also attended a 1-day legal training. I asked the attorneys from Drummond and Woodsum to come in and talk with them about a variety of topics. They had opportunities to ask questions pertaining to situations that we encounter as a team on a regular basis, and also to learn about laws in the state. The administration also received training regarding the special education referral process, which is really important because it's always changing. The feedback on that in the 2 days retreat was very, very positive. That it was a great way to start the year, to have a legal update and kind of get caught up. And I thought that was very productive. Our first days back, Sanborn welcomed 21 new teachers and support staff to the district on August 20th. New staff received training on our district policies as well as an orientation to the Sanborn district. They met with their mentors and had time in their classrooms to prepare for students. At our convocation on August 22nd, we came together as the Sanborn community to start the 2019-2020 school year. We recognized the longevity of service of 35 staff members, including 5 with 30 or more years of service to Sanborn. I've received very positive feedback about the first in a series of stress management sessions that was held on August 23rd by John Wortman. He teaches professionals how to manage stress in practical ways. The techniques that teachers and staff learned at that session can be taught to students as well. And many teachers are already implementing them with their students as we start the year. When I returned for that first day of school, I was stopped repeatedly as I walked through the schools and told how helpful that training was. And I'm really happy that staff liked that. I know that our official day of enrollments is October 1st, but I just wanted to give you an update as to where we stand today. Things are still kind of shifting, kids moving in and out. But at this point, Bakey has 341 students. It's down by 6. Memorial has 272. It's up by 4. The middle school has 316. It's up by 8. And that's compared to September 1st last year. The high school has 648, and it is down by 19 from last September. The total student enrollment as of September 1st is 1,577. I think it's important to note that 37 students is not what I would consider to be, as an administrator, a big swing. It can go either way by about 5%. So I'd say that what this validated for me is that the results of the NASDAQ study seem to be right on target. And so each year when I look at enrollments, I'm comparing them to those NASDAQ studies to see if their data was correct. Our kindergarten enrollments were off by 2 or 3 students from their projection. So that kind of validates the direction that we've taken based on that study. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Committee report. Sorry I was amiss. I didn't go to you to begin with. Policy?
Policy met tonight and discussed policies. We hope to bring policy J on homeschooling students' participation in district courses and activities to you for our next meeting. We also discussed our board ethics policies, BCA, which is a hodgepodge of many ethics policies, including employee ethics, which should be in a different section of the manual, section G and not in B. B is for board ethics. So we're pulling that policy apart and finding relevant policies to place the language into the correct policy for employees and others. And we'll be bringing that to you, well, in a month, probably, a month or two. We need to work on that some more. Our next meeting is October 2nd at 4:45 in room 102.
EISA has a meeting in 2 weeks from today, September 18th at 4:45. I believe also in room 102.
Facilities.
Facilities met today, and I'll give the report at the next school board meeting. The next facilities meeting is October 2nd.
Jim, what time is that meeting at? Is that at 3:45?
Yes, 3:45.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got now 3 meetings for October 2nd. You said October 2nd?
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, no problems with conflicts?
Nope,
I just wanted
it's
to make
all
sure.
planned out for
Okay.
the year.
Nope, that's fine, okay. Finance,
The finance met today at 3:45. That meeting actually began at 3:54. Can you hear me okay?
I knew that, Okay.
Jim, finance did not meet today, you're thinking.
I'm sorry, facilities, thank you. Facilities met on August 21st. The meeting began at 3:54 PM. We reviewed and approved the June 12th meeting minutes, and we discussed IT purchases, also reimbursements from the insurance company for the work done on the high school gym. This work was required to repair damage caused when a weekend storm resulted in a leak in the gym roof, resulting in water damage to the gym floor. The repair work cost $61,817.72, and insurance reimbursed all but $1,000 of that, which was the deductible. We discussed the desire for regular revenue reports, which Matt has agreed to provide. Matt also explained that the mileage policy is going to be reviewed and that currently personnel is working on it. We discussed that large purchases can be anticipated should become a part of the capital improvements plan. We discussed reviewing online subscription costs. We discussed the unanticipated expense of $3,400 for the cost of the concrete pad for the dugout at the softball field. And we reviewed 3 revolving funds. Balances as of July 31st are: the Special Ed Expendable Trust is $237,806.72. Capital Improvements Fund is $145,898.09. And the Facilities Use Fund is $207,972.71. We reviewed the July 2019 budget expenditure reports. The health and dental expenditures were $95,494.66. And the July expenditures, excluding health and dental, were $2,788,803.83. We reviewed budget adjustments in the amount of $42,038.66. These adjustments were $14,500 to replace IT equipment, $14,438 for FICA expenses, $13,100 to replace the overhead projector in the library. The next Finance Committee meeting is on September 18th at 3:45. Thank you.
Public relations.
Public Relations will next meet on October 9th at 4:30.
Personnel,
We meet Wednesday, September 11th at 4:30 in room 102, and we'll be reviewing the superintendent's evaluation form to see if we have to make any changes to that. But Taryn Lytle did such a great job on that. I don't anticipate many changes to it, but we'll look it over a little bit.
SST, there is none. Seminary.
None.
Budget?
No meeting.
Nope, no meeting here. Wellness, there is none. Okay. In case I'm remiss when I get to the end, when we go to non-public, just so people who are watching this, Jim has headphones on and no one can hear where he's at because in non-public, that's gonna be that way. I wrote a note, but in case I forget, just so people will be aware of that. So nobody's listening where Jim is off-site.
That's correct. There won't be anybody there.
Oh, it's going good.
Good. How was school start?
Really good, actually. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's been
What
good.
you got for us there?
So because it's like the first week of school, we haven't really been doing a ton. We chose our chairs for homecoming, so it's Sarah Monroe and Emma Soares. And a lot of like all the classes have had their individual class meetings, so like the freshmen meet with the freshmen and everything. But yeah, we've just kind of been getting homecoming together, which is what we're going to be doing until homecoming.
When is the date of homecoming?
The pep rally is the 20th, and then like homecoming, the parade, and the whole day is the 21st.
You'll give us a little, stepping off time and what have you as we get closer and things get solidified. Public comment 1. Chance. Good shape. Capital improvement, Matt.
Right. The facility committee got together and I proposed several improvements to the capital purchases of the school district, and of those that got approved were put into a plan. And I'm just going to quickly go through this. And basically the plan, it breaks it out by school location, the replacement cost, where the funding is going to come from, and the estimated budget impact by fiscal year. Before I jump into the individual pieces, I would like to repeat a comment that board member Jamie Fitzpatrick said, is that this plan does not commit any money. It just lists out future needs, okay? The first one is crack filling, seal coating, and repainting of pavement markings out in the high school for $33,000. Putting a paved public access to the athletic field here at the high school for $7,900. The middle school is just the middle school transition, which would be bringing the middle school here for $720,000. Memorial would be redesign the front entrance, which would be a security entrance for $58,000. Also replacing or repairing replacing the walk-in cooler and freezer for $20,000. Dishwasher for $10,000. For facilities and grounds, it would be a 1-ton dump truck for $45,000. More card access for the buildings for $10,000. For the administrative side, this would be the accounting software, which we're going to be trying to renew this year for $300,000, and also an energy study for $45,000. The total of the approved projects was $1.2 million. However, if you break it out by budget year, it would be $295,000 in the current year, $575,000 next year, $139,000 the year after, and then it goes on. It goes lower and lower each year after that. Again, this is no commitment of dollars, and it's just for future needs.
Questions?
I just wanted to note that the middle school transition cost of $720,587 is being covered by the plan that we developed with the reductions in staff and everything. So it's in the plan because it is a capital item, but it's already planned for and being managed. I'm saying this mostly for the public's knowledge, just so that there's no confusion. It's not an additional cost.
So there most likely will not be a tax impact.
There will not be a tax impact.
That's the main thing.
Thank you.
I had a question on the, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I had a question on the energy audit. Who's conducting that? I mean, I know like Unitil goes to your homes or your businesses. Is that different than what you're proposing?
It's the same, and actually we have 2 vendors that are interested in doing it. When I was trying to pull this together, I didn't have any interested parties. The 2 vendors want to do it for free. However, they want to sell services at the end.
Okay, so the 45,000 is for services?
Well, no, the 45,000 was actually conducting the study on our
Oh,
own.
okay.
So let me that was the point I was going to make. The dollar amounts are basically value amounts. They are not the most likely cost. So the 45,000, for example, we think that we know of at least a number of different ways to do that for free.
Okay.
So these are, they're not the most probable cost, they're a value cost. The value of this is generally about this kind of money. It doesn't mean that we intend to spend that kind of money.
Okay.
We will be working on every single one of those line items to make it not be those numbers, to make it lower, be
And
more specific.
Could I add to that point, if the board remembers back to my first 6 or 8 months here, we had a $260,000 proposal for repurposing the entrance to Memorial School. Steve Riley and I went over and went through the whole thing, redrew the project and got it down to 58,000. So whenever I see dollars on paper like this, I always would agree with Jamie that there's the value's one thing, but getting it actually getting it done, there's a lot of finesse in there. You know, the bid process, talking with vendors, working together collaboratively to solve problems.
And not hiring someone from Chicago.
That's right.
I think you're up again.
Okay. For the architectural bids for services, basically, the facilities committee decided to table the item, so there's actually no word on that. What happened is we got 9 different proposals, and they're all excellent proposals. We just need more time to go through the proposals and also ask several of them additional questions. So next board meeting, we'll have an architect, hopefully, that we've approved.
Okay, the next one is the New Hampshire School Board Association. We have, I won't read it because if someone volunteers to go, they can have it, but the New Hampshire School Board Association, they are now accepting submissions for the annual 2020 School Board Association Delegate Assembly. Delegate Assembly will be held on Saturday, January 25th, 2020 at the Triangle Park. Nothing confidently knows where that is. I have a letter. If you would like to read it, if you're interested, let me know. And we will make a permanent copy for you. Is there anybody just now who's thinking like, I haven't checked my calendar, but I want to go? No, if you don't, that's fine. This is a standard, you know. You want me to pass it around now or just make it available to you?
Well, it's electronically provided.
Okay,
So,
oh, okay, all right, so everybody's got it?
yeah, I think we
Okay,
do.
all right. That,
Yep, we do.
okay, Matt, you're up again, it
So,
looks like.
excuse me,
I'm sorry, yes.
so before we leave this topic, the subject of this letter appears to be a request for proposals from the different member school boards. Is that, I don't know that I don't remember ever discussing or submitting any proposals to this assembly. Is that something that, is that what we're intended to discuss? This letter?
We will, but I was gonna first find out if anybody wanted to go, because that person would be probably charged with doing it, maybe. I mean, Phyllis, you'd work with Phyllis on that, but until I had somebody who was interested, I didn't want to go too far down the path.
So we don't have to send a delegate, but we can.
And we don't have to make any
We don't have to
suggestions.
make
No,
resolutions.
certainly, right.
Many districts do not.
Correct.
It's
I just didn't want to send down the path if nobody wants to go. We'd just come up with any ideas, you know, I mean, we've got to.
Unless we had a burning issue, I mean, probably
Right,
not.
right.
but-
I mean, it's not till November that we have to even.
But we did review the other ones being proposed. If you remember, we took votes on the others being proposed from other districts.
Yeah,
And stated our position as a group.
I think Corey went a couple of years ago, maybe. I
Last
think it
year.
was-
Corey and Pam last year, I
Last
believe.
year.
You went, I think.
I will go this year if no one else wants to volunteer.
You win.
Don't everybody stampede over here to
The
me and say,
Saturdays
I'll
fill
go.
up quickly, don't they?
Especially in January.
Okay, seeing that we have someone, could I charge you with making sure if anybody has any suggestions, they bring them to you?
Yes, but we have enough to do. I don't think we should be petitioning for any major legislation this year.
I was
No,
reading
and I have no problem with that, but I guess what I'm
I'm
saying
not
is,
trying to discourage anyone, but
we
yeah.
can charge you with if anybody has a
Yes,
burning
please
issue.
provide me an email and I'd be happy to draft something.
And
If
you have
the
a copy.
legislature does something abhorrently more stupid than usual,
Okay,
then
you've
we
got a
might
copy
want
of
to
this?
take a position. but-
We take our orders from them, so you're right.
Okay, anybody have any comments about maybe they don't want her to go? I didn't think so. Okay, so you have the electronic copy of this, so you know what
Thanks,
to,
Pete.
you know what to do. I didn't think there'd be anybody really. Okay, the MS-25, Matt, you're up again.
Okay, so, actually, the MS-25.
Oh, wait, we're on the DOE 25.
And the DOE 20, we can do them both at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, what is the MS-25, Matt?
The MS-25 is actually the state, it's like a tax return to the state of New Hampshire about the school district's finances. It lists out the balance sheet and income statement, and it's primarily used to help set the tax rate. Okay, on that form, on that page, go down just a little bit.
Want the top form or?
No, go down a little bit. Stop right there. Okay, see the bottom blue number on the left-hand side? $1,013,507. That's the amount that's gonna get returned to the taxpayers to reduce the tax rate. It doesn't include, if you look up above it, just above it, $400,000. That's the amount that the board had set aside at the last meeting in June for the contingency fund. The contingency fund can only be used for emergency expenditures or to reduce the tax rate.
And that's by statute.
That's by statute. So the MS-25 is the one that goes to the Department of Revenue Administration and is used for helping tax rate setting. The DOE 25 is essentially the exact same information, but it's much more involved. It's broken out much further. It also includes the per pupil cost, the actual per pupil cost. And so this is like a tax return that is sent to the Department of Education, and they're going to report out a lot of the same information, like student costs. If you want to, I can, the student cost that was calculated for a high school is $16,548. The middle school was $18,736, and the elementary school is $20,163. And that would be near the bottom of that whole form. So the first part is like balance sheet. The second part is the income statement, and then it goes into, it breaks it out by school, by what kind of salary and benefits, and transportation and special education, and so on.
Just to, so people know a little bit more about the process, the selectmen are going through the same thing. They're going to send it up to the Department of Revenue. Department of Revenue in October roughly will be calling the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen in conference calls, used to actually come down and sit at the table, conference call, will set the tax rate based on how much they want to pay down, just as we just had money that we're now going to pay down. So we don't know what the tax rate is. That won't be for another couple of months.
Mr. Chairman. How does the fact that our enlightened legislators are messing around with a temporary budget? And I mean, they had talked about giving 13 million to the schools. Now that's off the table. There's money that's allocated for the schools that I'm not even sure we're going to get at this school. How can we set a tax rate when they haven't got a budget set for the year?
Well, one of two things going to happen. They'll set it. We have, I say we, I'm not on the board anymore, but in October, Department of Revenue Assessment will sit down, and they will sit down with the Board of Selectmen, now it's teleconference, and they will set the tax rate. And I would guess they can only deal with what they know.
So that our representatives could be holding up money that comes back to us. I'm saying that because I want people, the public, to understand that they can have some influence in talking to our state reps to tell them to get the budget issue settled, because it could adversely affect how much we pay in taxes this coming year, because they can't get their crap together.
I am guessing every state rep is gonna have pressure put on them to do this.
And I
because
hope so.
Every community is saying, how can we
Right,
set
we're
the
not
tax rate?
that's correct. We are
You know?
not the only district in that situation, but it makes it very difficult when we have to set a
But
rate.
probably it'll be 11:59:59 when they make the decision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So Pete, Pete,
Jamie had a question.
Oh, thank you.
So just,
Because I gotta tell you, we're running 25 minutes early.
I can
What
fill
doesn't
it.
matter, it's not a problem.
No, I understand that. My problem as chair right now is saying, okay, we can't do anything till 7 o'clock because it's a posted meeting.
That's correct, but we have other things to do.
So, well, we can do any number of things, absolutely.
So just a couple of questions here. One is, just for clarification, these numbers would not be the audited numbers that we talked about last time. The audited numbers that we talked about last time were last year's numbers, not this year's numbers. So these are
The next audit will be. for
the
these
next audit
numbers.
would be of these numbers. So I just wanted to make that clear. And also, I would like also a copy of that, please. I've got it here to sign, but I haven't had a chance to review it yet.
Any objection to second public comment going now? Okay. Okay, what am I talking about, folks? We know what we're talking about, you don't. At 7 o'clock, we have a posted meeting to have acceptance of grants and gifts. But because it's open to the public and it's been published as 7 o'clock, we have to do it at 7 o'clock because people will be coming in, maybe. So we can't have them coming in, they might want to talk about it, and, oh, sorry, we already covered that, leave. We
Okay.
cannot do that legally.
Can we not do our non-public session? in
Well, what I'm
15
thinking
minutes?
of, we'll have how about the second public comment now? We didn't have anybody for the first, so I don't feel too bad about maybe asking. Yes, sir.
My comment on that would be, I don't think that's a great idea because if people do come in for the,
Fine. I was thinking the
for
same
the
thing.
grant, they might
Yeah.
want to comment on that.
But they'll be able to because that's the purpose of the hearing.
Oh, will they be able to
Yes.
anyways?
Oh, yes,
okay,
that's the whole
then
purpose of
that's
the
fine
hearing,
then.
yeah.
It's
Right. But
separate
as far as
from
the
the board
school
agenda.
board, okay, as far as what we've done so far, we can have a second comment because the gifts thing, that's why we're having a public meeting for anybody to comment. on.
Okay, I understood. Didn't understand that.
So is
before.
there a second comment? Did I see a hand up? Okay, all right, so we'll take care of that. Okay, I will take a motion, and ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a motion to go into non-public. I don't believe it'll take 25 minutes, and we have to start at 7, so it can't take 25 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, on your comments. Is that?
Yeah, if we need to, we can.
Anybody have a disagreement with that? So I will take a motion. Larry, you usually do this because you read it.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into non-public session for RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay, comments? No?
No.
Roll call vote, it has to be anyway, but, yeah.
Aye.
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 Yes, aye.
Yes. Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could step out in the hallway for, I would guess this is gonna take us 15, 20 minutes, I'm hoping. I would like to tell people, we just had a non-public, that's where we yell and scream at each other, but we talk about something very freely, and that's one of the reasons the public isn't in here. Very specific by what the law says we're allowed to do, and we did. Okay, but I didn't want you to think we're playing any games or anything, and now you're gonna hear the final result of what we discussed. Larry, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the early retirement of the 3 staff members presented to us by the superintendent.
Someone for a second.
Yeah, we move, we approve the early retirement.
Right, I thought that's what you
Oh,
said.
I didn't hear that. I'm
Move
sorry.
to accept.
Yeah.
Discussion? All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Larry, you got another one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the sidebar memo of understanding presented to the board by the superintendent be accepted as read.
Second.
Discussion? Jamie?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jim?
Yes.
The reason we're doing that, ladies and gentlemen, by statute, when someone's off-site, we have to do all votes. Roll call, thank you very much. All right, which I learned that last meeting, thank you very much. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna make some announcements. Next meeting agenda, anything on it, ladies and gentlemen, you can think of?
There'll be a policy.
We've got some policy stuff, okay? You got it all right, Phil?
Yeah, we have some co-curricular assignments.
And I will make the announcement that the next San Juan Regional School Board meeting will be held on Wednesday, September 18, 2019, from 6 to 9 p.m. in the library at the San Juan Regional High School, 70 Danville Road, East New Hampshire, which is right here. So with that, we now have a minute and 35 seconds. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure that Phyllis was finished.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phyllis.
That's okay. We'll have another public hearing next week for another donation, on the 18th, sorry. And then we have the architectural bid speaker.
Right, okay.
Let's do that at 6.
7 o'clock, all right with everyone on the public
Yeah,
hearing?
why don't you do it earlier, because we got done earlier.
We can go out of order, so you want to do it 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay, can you put it on for 6:30? You know,
Actually,
you can just go out of order.
send it out, yeah, that's Thursday time, but I'll change it.
And we'll have the superintendent's evaluation form for the 18th.
And we will come up with something, I'm sure, between now and then. Okay, so, anything else the board wants to discuss? Because I have a feeling at least one of us wants to get out of here right after this. I'm not sure who, but I'm guessing she is mentally 10 feet tall. Very smart woman, I'm saying it really. We've only known each other for 30 years, so what the heck, right?
You are in trouble, that's true.
Oh, listen, I can see you coming into my office tomorrow morning and reading me a new one.
Yes. I'll wait till your meeting is over.
No meeting tomorrow, we're doing it every 2 weeks now. Okay, next on the agenda is grants and gifts, that's Matt and Tom. Let's start with the climbing wall.
Okay, so we're asking the board to accept a grant for $17,650 from Katie Toscano to purchase a climbing wall for the Bakey School.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve?
I move to accept.
Move to accept?
Second.
Discussion by the board. I think we've pretty much discussed this already in the past. Jamie?
Yeah, so just 2 points I'd like to make. One is, we had in the past had donations that then cost the district money. There should be an understanding that the district doesn't have to put any money in this. If something is off, wrong, or something, we shouldn't have to pay any money for that. And 2 is, I'll state the concern that I had last time, that led to my no vote last time, is my concern that the wall will be used for educational purposes in place of academic time. That's my concern.
Further discussion.
Well, I was not in favor of it last time, and I'm still not. I think it's a huge liability issue. I know there's definitely some benefits to it, but I think that's something that should be at a gym or a gymnastics program after school on parent time, not school district time. I think it really presents a huge potential liability issue. And I thought Mayor was gonna, maybe, did you talk to the insurance company? They think this is not a problem?
They're fine with it.
Really? Who's the insurance company?
Primex.
That's surprising. I'm still gonna vote no. I
Yeah.
just think it's just too risky.
I've got a comment too, and when
Go
my
ahead,
turn
Jim.
comes up. I remember when we talked about this the last time, the insurance company had a list of things that we had to conform to. One of them was inspections. There was another one about personnel, and there were a couple of others. And I'm not sure that we've heard, and we were going to get more information about that. And I don't know that we have. As far as what's required once this wall is in place on a regular basis.
Can you speak to that?
Sure.
We did talk to the company that's installing, Pro Image is the company, and they have trainings for our people. that are done either at our school, or they can go out and get trained, like they go out for professional development hours anyway for their discipline, and there are things offered in that area where they can go and use their professional development to continue their certification, but they are certified when the wall is put in. That's part of the package of them installing the wall. And then they would upkeep those certifications just like they would their certification for their PE academic professional development, which they do and get every 3 years. So they would keep that up. They're also allowed to, I talked to the company that will be training us, they're allowed to train teachers in the building once they're certified for the low transverse wall, not the high climbing wall, because obviously that entails more skill and we wouldn't want the liability, as Ellie said on that. As far as inspections of the wall, they recommend every other year because of the size of our wall to have it checked out. They do inspections, but there are other companies around that we can look into to book those that come into other schools, and that would be something we would investigate and get costs on so that we get the most effective cost for that to be done.
Vicki, a question on the recertifications.
Yep.
Who pays for that?
Research, they have professional development money each year teachers get to go to different certifications in their school money. They get so much per teacher. Is it $350, Tom, per teacher?
I'm sorry, what?
How much does each teacher get? I don't know, for professional development. I'm
I'd have
sorry.
to look in the contract.
Yeah, so they get money to do that each year, and they have 3 years, you know, to get their hours to be recertified.
So that they would have to elect for that specific certification rather than some other one?
Yeah, but a lot of times.
To be covered?
Correct, they would do that. And again, it doesn't have to be done every year. It's on every other year basis.
Just to let you know, every 3 years a teacher is recertified. In the process of that recertification, there is funds already in the budget for classes perhaps, or go to UNH. We always did that every other year, I think. In-house training. So the funding for that certification, which could go towards your certification as a teacher, it wouldn't be an added expense. I would take that course, it would be paid for, but I would take that because, I don't get too technical with you, there's so much in my discipline and so much, you know, there were 3 or 4 different disciplines, and I could use that time in outside of my science or my special ed discipline. So there shouldn't be an added expense to anything. I would just say I'm taking that for one of my requirements outside of my discipline. So there should not be any added expense.
That's assuming that you don't need that money for your main discipline, which is
well,
an academic.
I had a number of certifications, but
right.
I needed so many in my certification area, and then learners and learning and, you know, other things. And I could say, hey, I would like to take that certification. It's so many hours, I'd fill out the paperwork, and I'd get credit for it. You know, but it wouldn't be like, oh, now we have to pay extra for me to take that course. That would be part of my certification process, which is budgeted.
And if it's not enough for the certifications you need that year, do you reach into your pocket and pay for it?
I'm not sure if I know what you mean.
Say you've got $350, but your certifications, because you have several that you need, are going to cost $500.
You're mixing 2 different things. I see what you're saying. During the summer, right, they have classes that I can take. Is it still $100 a day? I don't know. Okay, so for instance, when we did Education by Design, the first time they did it, I got $100 a day to go during a week during the summertime. And I could use those hours towards my certification. Right? So there was no extra funding given to me. Nobody said, oh, you took that certification, so now you're going to get paid. Just like we do the same thing with their college education. We pay for courses based on UNH. They don't give me the money, I don't think, or unless I already paid it, then they refund me.
My example is, Pete, if you use those 3 hours or that $300 for your certification, But then you're adding another certification, which is to be able to work on this wall with students.
No, that would be part of my
That's an additional-
certification.
That's an additional cost above what you're.
Jim, can I?
It's really simple,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I just want to help to clarify a couple of things.
Sure.
It's getting messy here.
Yeah.
First of all, the question before us is, are we going to accept a donation of, right, so are we going to accept that donation for the purpose of putting in the rock wall, the climbing wall for the kids at the Bakey School? So the first question that I ask myself is, what is the educational purpose? What is that going to do for our kids? So I'll tell you that from an educational standpoint, I support this request. And I support it because it is a really great strength building physical activity for kids. And it will be used primarily in their physical education classes, correct?
Yes.
So it's not like they're going to come out of math and go down there and do the rock climbing wall. So I just want to allay your concern, Jamie. It's not, they have a phys ed curriculum, but they'll use this as part of that curriculum for upper body strength in particular. It is incredible for confidence building, and it is very popular. I will say, just as a parent, my kids love it, right? So I certainly am totally supportive of this. The fiscal questions are a separate issue, and they are important. So the first one is the money going to cover the installation, which Jamie asked. Ellie wanted about liability, will the insurance cover us? Those are reasonable things to think about, but let's take them in one. And then the professional development to learn how to run it is covered by the teacher's contract, because each teacher gets $300 per year for courses, for certifications or trainings that they want to go to, but they also receive 9 credits of graduate study. So that's a different bucket than Pete kind of talked about the graduate study. You wouldn't do this instead of that. It's a different pot of money. So that's not a problem to pay for that or take care of it. The question of the installation is, I haven't personally read the installation contract, but we have a contract to have it installed. I certainly would expect Matt to hold the company accountable to install it effectively for that amount of money. Once we accept it, it's ours, and we are responsible for the maintenance of it, which is usually minimal for a rock wall, but I want to be clear so that in the future everyone understands that when a school district accepts a donation and accepts equipment or materials, they're ours. And we're responsible for their upkeep from that point forward. And that's just a good thing to remember every time we're offered something, because we'll have another public hearing in 5 minutes for a different topic. So I think that the question of training is not a problem. The question of insurance is not a problem. The question of maintaining the wall, I mean, it really is a low maintenance, high energy activity for kids. It's fantastic. So I just wanted to pause everyone and get us back to the kids. What are the kids going to get out of this? It helps them to build self-esteem, self-confidence, and upper body strength, and it's a way more fun way to do it than weightlifting.
Yeah. I have one question. This is going to go into Bakey. What about Memorial School? Are they going to have something coming along too?
Well, we talked about that, and we can certainly look for other funds to do that at Memorial, but it's important to remember that every Sanborn student will be at Bakey next fall. So every student in Sanborn will enjoy the rock wall from pre-K to 3, which is a perfect age level to learn how to use it.
All right, that was my question. Since we're not going to have it in both schools, which is not a problem since we're going to be splitting the schools, is it more beneficial for the younger kids?
Yeah, it's great. My son started at 4.
They're like monkeys, I understand.
They love it.
They're going to go on over, but
Yeah,
I'm still voting no.
that's okay. I just wanted to answer all the questions so that it's clear and kind of concise, because we were kind of going in a lot of different directions.
So just for me to clarify, what swung my vote from a yes to a no last time, because I was originally planning to vote for it, was, and I think Vicki was explaining, well, it can be used for other things, so she certainly wasn't trying to dissuade me, but it's how I interpreted it, was, well, we could use it for things like geography, in terms of we could put places up there and they could be reaching for this or that, and that immediately led me to think, okay, there's an example of, well, for geography class today, rather than doing geography, we'll go down and play on the wall.
Right.
That's my concern.
Right. I certainly hear that concern and want to clarify, because I understood your concern, that the primary use of the wall would be for physical education courses. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't offer an after-school program too. I mean, I've said from the beginning that our after-school offering for kids that aren't in sports are limited. And so I would hope that the rec department would get trained on how to use it and that we could utilize it even more.
I had the concern last time about locking it down, preventing, restricting access outside of school hours because the baby gym is used for so many activities.
Yeah.
So I just want to follow up on it and see what the decision was on that.
Yeah, we, the company, that piece that you talked, we showed you, that curtain that came across that Tom talked about also. We have a company that has designed one especially for our climbing wall. It will lock down on both ends in the bouldering wall that goes across the end. And then the climbing wall that goes up, they're making a specific cover that attaches at the bottom and then attaches at the top that locks, that the teachers will use like a little step stool to go up and lock it so that, and it all comes with the locks. Everything is included in the canvas that will be made. It's made to fit our wall.
Thank you.
So it will be secure, so anyone that's in there can't climb underneath it, because Tom was concerned about that
I was very
also.
concerned about that. Right, the non-supervised use.
Right.
Oh, okay. I was going to go to public comments, go ahead.
I'm really excited about this because it diversifies phys ed. It's accessible to all of the students. There's no transportation cost involved, which it's a little cringy when you sign the expense forms and there are these huge busing bills for various activities. And as long as we have insurance and supervision, I'm excited about it, so I'm supporting it.
Does the public have anything to say? Yeah. Yep. Could you give your name, Rick, to the fellows?
Yeah, sure. Rick Edelman, Kingston. Question, I guess, for members of the board. When's the last time you had either a grandchild or a child climb a wall?
Personally,
Personally?
my daughter's in college, but she climbed a rock wall last weekend.
Was it reward? I'm sorry?
Earlier this summer.
Did you think it was rewarding?
Well, not for me, but you seem to like it.
Yeah, so as a father, 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, 2 boys, climbing everything. My wife, most of the times. Now a Cub Master, a group of boys, soon to be boys and girls. I think one thing I didn't hear is, and maybe you're going to get to it, is the cognitive reward of boys and girls climbing, memory skills, cognitive skills. So just take that into consideration.
I'd just like to note that I did not plan to speak to that, but that is a legitimate, there is a cognitive process for planning the climb and figuring out which problem solving that is legitimate and very complex. Thank you for bringing that up. I just didn't get there.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, go.
Hi everyone, Ursula Giudisa, Kingston. As a former insurance agent, the rock wall scared me, I'll be totally honest. But as the mom of a 7-year-old, I think it has a lot of potential. I think it promotes, I know you said you were concerned about things such as taking away from academics and geography. In the event that that was used for something like that, I think that'd be a fun way to learn. I know reward is huge when it comes to kids, especially special needs kids, and saying we're going to go down there and do this. It could help get them excited. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, get rid of geography and everybody go to the wall, but what's the difference between climbing this wall and those kids jumping down the stairs or jumping off that ramp that's at Bakey? I think there's a lot of, I mean, within reason, they're supervised. I think it's a great idea.
I've got another comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I voted for this the last time, but my vote had the concerns of, and the reason was because I agree that this is a good opportunity for kids to stretch maybe beyond their comfort zone in a supervised, safe way. I also agree with the comments Dr. Brown said about it individualizes sports. you can do this whether you're, a team player or just on your own. But I am concerned about these donations when we're told that they're not going to cost us money and then they end up costing us money. The Commissioner of Education refers to some of these things as bright, shiny objects. And I don't necessarily consider this that, but when we say it's for the kids, we have to think of it's for the kids and to what extent are they really benefiting from it. In this case, I can see that there is a benefit, but again, so many of these things, there's unintended costs that continue to grow and expand, and I think we really need to, when we're looking at these donations, we really need to have all the details in front of us. That's my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I'll make one more comment.
Okay.
So I'm going to switch my vote. But I'm doing that because I'm hearing and being assured that this will not be in place of academics. I have absolutely no problem with using a wall to help kids understand geography and everything else, so long as it's not in place of academics. It's additive, which is wonderful. And with the assurances that I'm hearing, I will switch my vote.
We'll invite you over to observe the wall once it's up.
I'm the wall.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the grant for the climbing wall.
We already did that.
We already did that. I'm just looking for a vote.
Move the motion?
Aye.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Got it all set?
So is that in
The lone voice in the room, so it's the far. Okay. How about the Seminary Trustees public hearing?
Good luck.
All right, now I'm gonna have you over.
Okay, I'll come. I'll actually come over.
I want you to.
Matt and Tom.
Okay, so this particular donation is for $34,821.92 from the seminary trustees for various classroom grants. They range from $4,000 to $6,795. It includes a flight simulator.
I was going to say, Brian's here.
I'll jump in. So I love coming to this meeting every year because it's a great opportunity to talk about a great organization that has been very supportive of Sanborn for a long time. So as you know, the Sanborn Seminary Trustees are a nonprofit group. They meet annually to find ways to give money and support to the Sanborn Regional School District. They do this through some scholarships to graduating seniors. Sometimes they take on some special projects, and then what you're seeing tonight. So once a year, they request from teachers innovative classroom grant proposals, and they review these over the summer, and they determine which ones they would like to fund for the upcoming year. So this past summer, they reviewed 19 different proposals, totaling $77,000. And of that, after much debate, the proposals that you have in front of you are the ones that they would like to fund this year. It's a variety of things. They look for things that are not part of our budget, but they look for things that are going to enhance some of the different program offerings and classes that we have here. They like things that are going to benefit the maximum number of students. They like things that are hands-on, that are project-based. And they do also like bringing in experts when they can. So they call it like an artist in residence kind of program. So sometimes you'll see programs like that, and it's a pretty good variety that they came up with. So there's details there on what all of them look like. And they wanted to be here tonight, but they weren't able to make it tonight. But I'm sure they'll come to another meeting and introduce themselves because they would like you to get to know them a little bit. The trustees, yeah, some of them wanted to.
So if we have a motion, I'll talk a little bit about it. Can we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the seminary grant of $34,000.
Second.
All right, now the discussion, just some history on this, because people say, what the heck is this all about? When the seminary was sold, we went to the San Juan Regional School District. The seminary trustees were set up. So they had the money when they sold the building to the town, or to the district. The seminary trustees, which was back to 1960, whatever, invested that money. And the dividend from that money is used for Kingston people, right? And they asked for requests. One year when I was a teacher here, I put in a request for a camera and a special microscope. They can put the camera on the microscope, and then I can put it on a TV because kids have a hard time using microscopes, right? So this was a rather expensive microscope, and compared to the $200 that we get, and a camera, so I could put it on the TV to show the kids, you know, what the microscope was doing, showing. That's something that the school wouldn't necessarily have bought. Back in the olden days, when VCRs were due, okay, the school district wouldn't necessarily buy a VCR. Now, I'm going way back here. But we were able to buy some VCRs because we put in for a grant, and they accepted them. So this is not money that, for many, many decades now, the San Juan Seminary trustees come up every year with how much money they've got. They accept these requests from the high school, I think Beatty also, but I think really just the high school. And then they...
It's only the high school. It's only the high school.
That's what I wasn't sure if Beatty was...
No.
But I was sure it was high school, it wasn't 100%. I didn't want to be corrected if it went to the Beatty, and no matter which road I went down, I knew I was going to be corrected.
You would.
Yeah, I know. 30 years we've known each other? No. So anyways, that's what this is all about. So there's no strings attached, the teachers put in for it, not the administration, and they look at it and they want the grant. So that's what it's about. And it's to buy certain things the teachers would like to have that the budget committee would let them know.
Oh, that was
Couldn't resist that. Well, they're not here tonight.
Yes, there's one.
Okay. So, any discussion on it other than what I just said? No? Okay. Well, public comment?
I just gave them a paper copy of it, so they're looking at it right now.
Can I just mention one thing?
You can email us a paper copy of it.
I think you have an email of it.
What's in it?
Yeah, it's in the folder somewhere, yeah.
But I just wanted to know, oh, you have an extra one for Ellie?
I did.
Okay, because I can get someone mine, if someone would like one, would someone like to see it?
Cheryl, you had a, oh, I'm sorry.
Can I just say one thing before?
Yeah.
I just want to be clear that some of these requests were, like, for example, the first one was additional, I'm sorry, I need my glasses, additional dies, attachments, and metal forming pieces for iron worker equipment. So they asked for 6,100, but they got 4,000, so they'll just buy 4,000. The district
right.
isn't going to make up the difference to 6,100.
Correct, and it's actually...
But that goes back to Jim's question, is this a shiny item that's going to cost more money if we accept it, and the answer is no.
That's a great question, and one more piece on that. So that particular project is actually an extension of a project they funded last year. They bought a very expensive piece of equipment that allows the kids in the metal shop to cut metal, kind of like a bandsaw for metal. So whereas before it used to take them forever, now they were able to do that. So now they're funding some of the additional add-on tools that go with that piece of equipment, because they recognize that they don't want that to be something that comes out of the school district budget, and they want to be able to pay that forward. There's another one, the microscope project, similar. They funded part of that last year. They wanted to go back and fund more of that this year. So they try to think through all those things when they talk about it.
Cheryl, you got it?
Cheryl Gannon, Kingston. Talking about liability on the previous donation, I see here a flight simulator. Is there any liability associated with that? And my second question is, what happened to the greenhouse, which I believe there was a donation for that last year or 2 years ago?
I can speak to the flight simulator. So the flight simulator is an industry standard, FAA approved computer simulator. So the kids, it's on a cart. The kids will do it right in the classroom. It's got all of the industry aviation controls right here. It's got one monitor, and then we can always add a couple other monitors to make a panoramic, but totally safe. There's no moving parts. It's not like one of those. It's not a motion simulator ride or anything like that, yeah.
I was hoping it was a motion simulator, personally, but.
It would be cool, actually, we're working on some really cool partnerships with outside organizations so that we can take kids to places so that they can engage more in that. I actually get calls almost every day for the aviation program. I had one today from Manchester Airport, so it's like, that's a separate entity than this stuff, yeah.
The greenhouse, that was a public board meeting a year ago, probably, where we discussed tabling the greenhouse because we weren't sure about the reorganization at that time. So that's just totally on hold.
Yeah, and actually since that time, the trustees rescinded the donation proposal, so.
It went from a relatively reasonable, manageable cost to $300,000 or $400,000, and we really didn't feel like we had the energy or time to get a handle on that right now.
I will also add, just to give you some perspective, last year, the trustees gave the district, or you approved $29,600. The 2 previous years were the greenhouse years. And the year before that, you approved $30,700 for classroom grants. The year before that, $32,000. So you start thinking about historically how much this organization has offset some of our programming. It's astronomical. It's really impressive.
Mr. Stack, my recollection is the money that was offered toward the greenhouse then went to something else, isn't that correct?
No, it actually did not go to anything else. It was put on hold, so the trustees for 2 different school years, they held the money, but then they decided not to expend the money after the board had it on hold, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can we move the motion? Right, to finish with the public, right, nothing else, okay. Jamie?
Aye.
Yes.
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 Aye. Jim?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Because we're gonna try to wrap it up here,
Yep.
we had these debates about this thing, but I do want to publicly state that we're very appreciative of the people that make these donations, and even though we might have questions about them and make different decisions on that, it's not for lack of appreciation and for lack of goodwill of the people that are donating. So, thank you.
Well said.
Absolutely.
No other business? Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ellie?
Second.
Oh! We've been friends for 30 years. Won't be the first time to use that word with me. When she gets frustrated, she lets me know.
It's the first time in the life.
See the effect I have on you? Okay, we're adjourned.
We have to vote on that.
Oh, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Jim?
Yes.
Thank you.